Good day, everybody. Steve Prusbrowski here. Welcome to tip 82 in the series 101 Tips to Ace Your Promotional Examination. As a reminder, my website, code3firetraining.com, has a lot of great resources on it, and they're free. Many of them are free, so check them out. Also available on my website, as well as Fire Training Books and Videos website, my latest book, 101 Tips to Ace Your Promotional Exam, which this series is based upon. So now we've explored a lot of different tips throughout this process, but one of the most important tips, I know they're all important, and it's almost like your favorite rock group that always says, oh yeah, this new album is going to be our best album ever. Of course they say that, just like you think they're going to say, well, this new album that we just spent the last year on is going to be our shittiest album ever, but you know what, please buy it anyway. Sorry. I think all the tips are important, all 101 of them. There's probably many more that we could have included, but these are the ones we have. But anyway, tip 82, focus on quality, not quantity. So let me talk about that for a little bit here. One thing to remember is that a lot of people, like in the last tip, I talked about checking boxes. Well, checking boxes is quantity versus coming across with solid command presence, good leadership skills, good communication skills. That's quality. Well, think about this. So many people focus so hard on checking the box, but also filling their resume up with, okay, I got to take all these classes that'll make me look like a great promotional candidate. Okay, there's nothing wrong with taking classes, educating yourself, getting involved, whatever it is, to better yourself or to give back or to make people's days better or your community better. But at the end of the day, what happens is a lot of people tend to forget we hire and promote people, not resumes. Don't get me wrong. It's great to have, I think, a good, solid track record on your resume of giving back, paying it forward, making things better, leaving things better than you found them, continuously improving yourself and those things around you, those people around you, your organization. But again, we hire and promote people, not resumes. So we're looking for good, solid people. And that's why I say focus on quality. Think about it this way. Use this in this context. The other night I was talking to my entry-level students at Chabot College, and we were talking about resumes, and one student goes, Chief, should I be doing some community service to put on my resume? Our departments, our fire chiefs looking for community service. I'm like, of course they are, because think about it. What's the fire department? Public safety, civil service. We serve the community, of course. And if you can prove before you get the job that you have a track record of giving back, whether it's to others, your community, whatever it is, as a volunteer, not for profit, whatever, it'll help convince that fire chief, that board, that, okay, you're not just turning on the light switch now because you want to be a firefighter, that's you. Well, a lot of people are quick to say, well, I don't have time to volunteer 8 hours a day or 6 hours a day, whatever. Well, I share with the students, look at it this way. It may be tough to find, if you're working full time, and if you're like me, when I was going through paramedic school, trying to become a firefighter, I was working 7 days a week. Well, not working 7 days a week, but 7 days a week. I was either in paramedic school, riding along, volunteering at the fire department, doing ride-alongs somewhere, going to school, working to pay the bills. I didn't have a lot of spare time. Well, trying to find, say, a half day, full day in one block can be tough, but look at the other way around. Let's say you do that 8 hours today, but then you do nothing for 8 months. It's 8 hours still. Versus the candidate that goes, you know what, I can find an hour a month. You do an hour a month today, got 24 hours in a day, hour a month today, once a month for 8 months, it's 8 hours total. No different than 8 hours today, but nothing for the next 8 months. But think about it. What looks better? Doing something 8 hours, volunteering your time today and doing nothing for 8 months? Looks great today and tomorrow and the next day, but then as time goes by, what have you done for me lately? Versus the person that has that continuous track record of 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour each month, and shows a dedicated commitment as well to something. So there's different ways to look at it. So don't say you have time. If you want things bad enough, you can make time. You'll find time. And there's creative ways to make time work. But again, to me, it's about quality. Something else to think about. Oh, sorry. If you're going to be involved in something to have on your resume, be involved. One of the things I talked about in previous tips was getting involved in the department and off duty, of course, but if you're going to get involved in something, say a committee, let's say like when I was a battalion chief, I was in charge of SCBAs. I was responsible for putting together a proposal to buy new SCBAs, basically to replace all of our SCBAs. It's something, the range of, I think it was about $1.2 million. So it was a big, significant investment that was going to last us for the next 10 to 15 years. Well, like any other, I think, I'm hoping, good program manager, I sent out a memo saying, hey, we're reestablishing or forming up an SCBA committee because we're looking at replacing our SCBAs. I'm looking for volunteers to help research, select, recommend, and determine what our new SCBAs will be. You know, there's different manufacturers out there, and there's a lot of good ones out there. And I threw that memo out, not sure what to get. I was hoping to get maybe a few volunteers that would be willing to get together, meet, you know, be a part of the research cadre that evaluates, researches, you know, wears, takes them out in the field, tests them, and analyzes them, and then gives a recommendation that, you know what, we need to go with company A. I had upwards of 30 people out of about 300 people in the department. I think I had about 10% of the department raise their hand to be on a committee. It was the highest committee involvement that I was ever aware of. Most committees get like 5, 10 people, maybe 15. I was floored to get 30 people. Now, it's not because of me. I'm not taking credit for that. I think maybe because we hadn't had a committee for a while and it was SCBAs, people are interested. Well, there was another reason why a lot of people signed up for the committee. It didn't dawn on me until after the fact, but in about, I think it was in the next 6 to 12 months, a captain's test was happening. And most departments, the promotional exams are on a certain cycle, so you know when the promotional exam will be. Well, I didn't think about it at the time, but a good chunk of firefighters that were taking the captain's test, or excuse me, planning to take the captain's test, signed up to be on the SCBA committee, which, you know what, there's no problem. More the merrier. However, what I found out very quickly is while most of those people that signed up showed up at our first meeting, you know, we put together, all right, we had an initial meeting and welcome everybody, thank everybody, and, you know, figure out our plan. How are we going to get to the point where we recommend SCBAs? So we had that first meeting of, okay, here's what we're going to do. Maybe we're going to meet once a month. We're going to get, you know, demonstration samples from each of the major manufacturers. We're going to see if we can throw them on certain rigs and, you know, create a field checklist for the field to evaluate them and then come up with a recommendation. So it was a whole process and everything else. Well, even though we had about 30 people on the roster, as time went by, as we had meetings, multiple meetings, we assigned projects, you know, hey, you're going to be in charge of whatever. That 30 people, give or take, turned out to be about maybe a solid group of maybe 10 to 15, which is still a damn good number. But there was about half that group that pretty much never showed up to any meeting, never responded to any email, never participated in anything, but it stayed on their resume. And it got to that point that it gave the impression that the only reason they joined the committee was not to make the department better or get involved or be a part of the department's future, was they signed up to put that on their resume that I'm on the SCBA committee. Well, don't bullshit the bullshitters, because fast forward, I remember being on the oral board for the captain's test. And I remember people putting that on their resume. And I remember one candidate had all these committees that he put on there, and it was SCBA committee. And I remember thinking to myself, I even had to question, I'm thinking to myself as I'm looking at his resume, was he even on the committee? Shit, I don't remember him showing up at all. Okay, maybe he was. I mean, obviously, most of the committee members, the ones that were engaged and present and were leaders, I remembered who they were. But there was some that I totally forgotten about because they never responded to anything, but their name was on the list. Well, anyway, this one candidate had all these committees. And I remember after the interview, one of the other people from another department, one of the other chiefs goes, wow, this guy is really involved with a lot of stuff in the department. Is he that actually active? And I'm like going, no, not really. I go, I need to check. And I had to check my notes. And I go, give me a few seconds. And I checked, went in my email, and I'm going, well, okay, he's on the SCBA committee, but we had like, I don't know, 10 meetings. There was a handful of email assignments that went out and projects that were, you know, delegated out. I go, yeah, he signed up. He never attended any of the meetings, and he really never participated at all. So yeah, he's on there on theory. Now, I'm not slamming the guy. I'm not trying to discriminate against the guy or be biased, but when you basically try to bullshit us or try to get points for doing something you really didn't do, yeah, your name was on there, but you didn't do anything. You shouldn't get credit for it, versus those rock stars that get involved and show up at meetings, take leadership roles, take charge, get things done, follow through, take responsibility. Yeah, good team players. Those are the ones that should get credit for it. So my point is, it's not about quantity, it's about quality. So if you're going to sign up to be on a committee or lead a project or do something on duty, off duty, don't focus on getting 20 things done, because you're probably not going to do 20 things well. You'll be 20 things half-assed at best. Focus on maybe 1 or 2 things and do them greatly. That's my point. So like with anything in life, quantity does not always make someone better or anything better. But instead of being average at many things, strive for greatness at a couple things. None of us are jacks of all trades. Mostly it's jack of all trades, master of few or none. So that's where we're at. Anyway, as always, thank you very much for the gift of your time. And until the next episode, be safe, and we'll see you soon. Take care.